know better than anyone that every single mark can make a huge difference. Today, we're going to tackle a topic that trips up a lot of people, phrasal verbs. But don't worry, we're going to explore a strategy that will help you really master them. So let's jump right in.
Does this sound familiar? You're in an exam. The clock is ticking, and you're staring at a question, trying to remember the exact meaning of look into or set off. It's a really common struggle, you know? And that's because just trying to memorize a long random list of verbs is, frankly, one of the worst ways to learn. It just doesn't work when you're under pressure.
So let's totally change our approach. We're going to stop memorizing and start understanding. How? We'll learn these verbs by grouping them together based on their meaning, a little technique called chunking. I promise this makes them so much easier to understand, remember, and pull out of your brain when you need them the most.
Okay, our first group is all about action and movement. Think of these as the verbs that get things going. They describe starting a journey, keeping on track, or bumping into things along the way. Let's dive into our very first one. First up is set off. This one's pretty simple. It just means to start a journey. For example, we set off early for the exam center. It's the perfect phrase for that moment you begin moving from point A to point B. So once you've started, you've got to keep going, right? That's where carry on comes in. It means to continue. And this is so relevant for all of you studying right now. Despite the difficulty, you must carry on with your studies. It's all about that grit and persistence. Now, take off is an interesting one. It can mean to remove something, like taking off your coat. But in this group, we're talking about movement, specifically to leave the ground and start flying. Just think of an airplane. The plane took off on time. It's that quick upward start. So what happens when you're out and about? Well, you might run into someone. Now, this doesn't mean you actually collide with them. It just means you meet someone completely by surprise. For instance, I ran into an old friend at the library. It's that unexpected chance encounter. And our last verb for this movement group is break into, and this one usually has a negative vibe. It means to enter a place forcefully or illegally. You'll see it in sentences like, the thief broke into the house. So the key idea here isn't just entering, it's entering with force. Okay, let's switch gears. We're moving from physical action to mental action with our second group, verbs of communication and ideas. These are the words you'll be using when you're discussing things, looking into problems, and coming up with new ideas. All super important skills for those comprehension and reasoning sections in your exams. When you want to introduce a topic into a conversation, you bring it up. For example, she brought up an important issue in the meeting. You could almost picture it, right? You're literally bringing an idea to the surface for everyone to see and discuss. Next up, we have look into. This is a bit more formal. It means to investigate or research something. For instance, the committee will look into the complaint. It suggests a really careful, detailed examination of a problem. This is a great one for creativity. We use come up with when we talk about creating or suggesting a new idea or solution. Like, he came up with a brilliant plan to solve the problem. It's that aha moment of invention. Here's a verb you are all using constantly in your exam prep. Work out. When you work out a problem, it means you solve it, usually with some logic or calculation. For example, you need to work out the problem to find the answer. This is exactly what you do in your math and reasoning papers all the time. Our last verb in this group is make up. This means to invent something, like a story or an excuse that isn't actually true. For instance, he made up a story to explain his absence. It's all about creating something from your imagination instead of from the facts. All right, let's bring it home with our third and final group, verbs of starting and stopping. These words are all about being in control of an action, from getting something new started to canceling it, quitting it, or just shutting it down. To kick off this section, we have set up, which means to establish or create something new, like a business or an organization. For example, they set up a new business last year. It's all about that new beginning, laying a foundation for something. Now, on the flip side of starting something, you have call off, which means you cancel a planned event. It's a very definite stop. For instance, the match was called off due to rain. The event is just not happening anymore. It's as simple as that. And here's a phrasal verb with a really powerful message for all of you. Give up means to quit or to stop trying. And our example is also our advice to you. Even when it's hard, don't give up on your goal. Keep pushing. You've got this.
What happens when a machine just stops functioning? It breaks down. We use this verb specifically for things with mechanical or electronic parts that fail. A classic example is, my car broke down on the way to the city. And finally, one we all use every single day, turn off. This just means to deactivate something or stop the power. For example, remember to turn off the lights when you leave. A simple action, a simple verb. And there you have it, 15 essential phrasal verbs. And you didn't just memorize a random list, you learned them by understanding them in clear logical groups. See how much better that feels? It actually makes sense this way. You've just added a really powerful new tool to your vocabulary toolkit. But to make sure this knowledge really sticks, consistency is everything. Try to practice using just one or two of these verbs every single day. That's how you'll really achieve mastery. So, to get you started right the second, I'll leave you with a question. Looking back at the verbs we just covered, which one stands out to you? Which phrasal verb are you going to use in a sentence first? Go on, put it into practice today. Good luck with all your studies, and thanks so much